So let's kick things off. First, I want to talk a little bit about remote working, where we were at before the pandemic. So prior to the pandemic, about 4.9% of the US workforce worked from home. It's about 8 million people. 31% worked from home occasionally, which was about 52 million folks. But only 27% of companies actually offered remote work, despite the fact that about 80% of employees wanted to work remotely. So there was a great appetite for remote working prior to the pandemic, but it wasn't deemed all that acceptable by most companies. During the pandemic, remote working shot up to about 110 million people, which is a 13x increase, so pretty significant. And organizations have found that productivity has actually gone up, and they list reasons like more time working because of no commutes, less distractions, less meetings. So it's actually been opposite of what a lot of people thought, that productivity would suffer, but it actually hasn't. And interestingly, in a poll, 35% of employees said they don't miss the office at all. So there's an appetite, continues to be an appetite for remote working. So as we emerge from the pandemic, about 60% of employees hope to continue working from home, and 35% said they would actually change jobs in order to continue working from home, and 30% said they'd take a pay cut in order to continue working from home. So that appetite is pretty strong. And there are a lot of benefits to organizations of having remote workforce. So the average organization will save about $22,000 a year per employee. And those savings are calculated in increased productivity, lower real estate costs, so not having to have the big offices that house folks, reduced absenteeism. Absenteeism actually has been down considerably through the pandemic. People don't feel the need to call in sick when they're already at home, and lower turnover. So less people switching jobs because they are allowed to work from home, and therefore the work experience is improving. So big savings for corporations, but then also for employees. They'll save about $6,000 to $8,000 a year in travel, in parking, and food. But I think the more important savings is time. If you take their combined commute time, they'll save about 22 work days a year in travel time. And I think that's a pretty massive savings for employees. So some pretty big benefits for both the organization and employees.